All right, everyone. I believe everyone's through the food line. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hillsdale County Republican Women and the John Birch Society for hosting this event tonight, and for all of our candidates that have come out. Some from very far away, so thank you. Beautiful day too, so we understand that we'd probably rather be outside, but here we are participating in the American process. We have Teresa Rutan that would like to make a couple of announcements really briefly.
I promise I'll be brief. All right. The thing that we've got coming up is we still have tickets for the wine tasting and the food pairing coming up in 2 weeks. I'm sorry to say, but you'll have to go through the antidote to get a ticket if you're still interested. It's going to be a fun time, learning and enjoying company. Next, the Women's Party is partnering up with the Historical Society in August. They have a bake sale when they do their events. So I've got myself, my daughter Danielle, Marcia, and Diana going to be participating in the bake sale. Anybody else who wants to furnish any baked goods, that would be fantastic. I don't have a date or anything when their festivities will be in August. The next thing, the 4th of July parade is coming up on Saturday, actually July 4th. Are we interested in doing the parade? We didn't do it last year. Oh, come on, people, it's the 250th celebration. We need to be visible. I know that when we were in the parade 2 years ago, it was kind of all positive comments about you guys showed up, you're in the parade. We need to do the parade.
We do.
So we can discuss that real soon. Any questions?
Need to float like Animal House.
No,
Yes.
we've already discussed the float, and you said you could whip it up super fast. All right, that's all I have for tonight. John, do you want to do yours?
Was it over with the German about Pearl Harbor?
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm John Rutan. I also go by Hey You. We're starting our 28-week Constitution course again. First class starts on June 23rd. It'll be every Tuesday night. Doors open at 6. Class is at 7. I'm going to limit the class to 20 students this time. Every student will get this book along with Pocket Constitution and the 5 genealogical documents that our founders actually used in writing the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If you want to know what the course curriculum is, the syllabus, it's out there on the table. You're welcome to pick up one, take a look at it. If you want to be in the class, you can find us on Facebook on an events page. Go ahead and put your name there. If not, get with me so I can get your name down, because we're going to limit the class to 20, just 20 students. So, and I know it sounds like a long time, but 250 years this has survived. It takes a little bit more than just a night to study the Constitution. It's absolutely free. It also costs your time and your effort. But it's a good class. Anybody in here that's taken the class before?
I'm going to put in a plug.
Ask any of them what the class is like.
Put in a plug. If you haven't been to the class, it's amazing. I know Steve's went to it too. I didn't complete it, but the information in that class, you're not going to get it hardly anywhere else. The only other place I know that gives the kind of information that John gives is Patriot Academy. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a great organization. Rick Green from Flashpoint, they own it. So if you ever considered about going to the class, it's totally free and it's awesome. The information's awesome.
And don't think you have to make every class. A lot of it we have online, but I've specialized in adult education my whole life. Adults learn different than children. Adults need to be together, they need to be in discussion, they need to look at things and debate things. That's how adults learn. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Just a very brief organizational update. We did mention last month that we were changing our structure. Basically what that involved was filing a form with the federal government, so that's as fun as it sounds. It took us, did it take us what, 2.5, 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours, so thank you John Paul Rutan for helping with that. Also Chris Wingate, myself. We got that filed. We have not heard back from the federal government, so we're gonna kind of guess that that's probably a good thing at this point. So we're keeping an eye out on, to make sure that our paperwork was filed correctly. So that's where we are. Does anyone have any questions about that? I don't think we have to belabor the point too much. Pretty straightforward, so. All right, thank you. All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call up, we have 3 candidates here tonight, I believe, for Ward 3 City Council race. The first is Amber Yoder. Amber, welcome.
All right, good evening. I did not come from far away. I'm about a block and a half down the street, so this was great. Thank you for having me. My name is Amber Yoder, and I am running for Ward 3 City Council. I have been a resident of Hillsdale County for more than 40 years. I will tell you my age if you want me to, but I'd rather not.
41.
There we go, 41, sounds good. And I've lived in Ward 3 for 17 years. I bought my house in town in 2009, and I've been here ever since, same house. Love it. My roots in the community, I think, give me a good understanding of the people of the city of Hillsdale and Hillsdale County, the values and the challenges that make us unique. I don't think Hillsdale's like any other place I've ever been. And I am committed to serving the community with integrity, respect, and accountability. And speaking of community, service has always been a big part of what I do. And it's a big part of my life. I currently serve the city on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I previously served on both the Planning Commission and the Election Commission. I proudly serve as a board member of St. Peter's Free Clinic right now, and I volunteer with Junior Achievement of the Michigan Edge. I also coach cheerleading at North Adams Jerome. It's not really volunteering, but it kind of is. I also serve as the Community Engagement Officer at County National Bank. It's kind of just a fancy title way of saying I do marketing, communications, and I work with lots of organizations. I kind of manage the donation and sponsorship program at the bank. So I tend to connect with a lot of people in a lot of different areas. So these experiences have taught me that it's important to listen and to collaborate and to be responsible with decision making, whether it's financial, with local government, with everyday interactions with folks. That's really important to me as well. One of the core values of my campaign is respect. I think everybody deserves to be heard and valued and treated with dignity. We might not always agree, but we can always be respectful. I think that's really important, and I think sometimes we forget that, and we get heated and get caught up in things, but we can come back to that point, I think, all the time. I think conversations that are productive and thoughtful are built on mutual respect, and I do think that's super important. Public service, I think, is a responsibility, and elected officials need to be accountable to the people they serve. That goes back to the listening and being heard piece. And I believe that our residents deserve transparency in our government and clear communication about decisions that affect the community. Sometimes I hear people say, well, I didn't know that, you didn't share that, and some people will say, well, go to city council and you'll hear it, but I do think some of those important decisions that will affect our community do need to be communicated in other ways as well. I will approach every decision with honesty, fairness, and accountability. We take a personality inventory at County National Bank when we hire in. And so my personality is that I think to talk. Some people talk to think. They like to talk it out while they're figuring things out. I'm a think to talker, so I bring it in. I might seem quiet or like I'm not engaged or not interested, but I'm really rolling around in my head very, very quickly a lot. So I'm a think to talker, and that helps me, I think, make great decisions and put a lot of thought into them. One of the biggest things I think that's important about Hillsdale City Council is it's a nonpartisan position. If you look at the ballot, it's not under Democrat or Republican. It's set aside on its own. And I don't think that we need to worry about partisan politics in city council because we're all different. The city is made up of tons of different kinds of people. So I'm not gonna focus on any kind of labeling. I just wanna focus on serving. And good ideas can come from anybody. And I'm committed to working with people from all backgrounds and viewpoints. And I think the challenges facing Hillsdale are best solved through cooperation and not division. I think we need to come back together on some things. I also think it's really important to create or support local businesses that create jobs and support our families and strengthen our community. And I think that's a universal value across the board. It should be if it's not. Through my work and my community involvement, I have seen firsthand the importance of creating an environment where local businesses can succeed. Obviously, working for a local bank, we're pretty invested in the community and we're pretty invested in making sure people are successful. So I take that to heart as well. I will continue to advocate for policies and decisions that encourage growth and opportunity throughout Hillsdale. And as I said, I'm not running to represent a party, I'm running to represent the people. And I have more than 40 years in the county, a great record of community service, and a commitment to respect, accountability, and transparency. And I would be honored to earn your trust and your vote. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
If anyone does have any questions, please speak into the microphone. We have some people that would like to hear and they're unable to. Also, we're recording, just so you know. So any questions for Amber? I have a question. What are the top 3 issues facing the city and what do you propose to do about them?
So I think a big one that has recently kind of come up is the utility rates. Lots of chatter about that and why we're seeing the increases in there and whether it's a local decision or if it's a result of some things that have been happening in Lansing. So I think that definitely deserves a lot more investigation and a lot more research and maybe some more explanation for folks. And it's really important to people because you have to live and the price of everything is going up and we see our rates going up 5.5%. We're gonna question that. So I think that deserves some looking through. Honestly, the respect factor I think is a big issue right now. Like I said, people wanna be heard and people should be heard. And I think we can do it in a way where everybody can kind of win with that. And like I said, I think the transparency piece as well, with those decisions that are made and things like that, you may not be able to attend every city council meeting or not be able to watch every city council meeting, but there's some big things happening there. So I think communicating out some of those things and not just assuming if people want to know they're going to read meeting minutes or meeting agendas, I think that's really important.
We have a couple questions over this way.
Hello?
Yep.
Thank you, Amber, and thank you for coming to the council meetings. I think you've been there fairly consistently, at least since you got in. And thanks for being in the race. I guess if I only have one question, which I think I'll limit myself to one. You were there on Monday, and we embarrassed ourselves yet again. And I'd like, if you choose for you to weigh in on the mayor sessions versus some guy at the podium getting tossed out. Thank you.
I think that's Slim Shady. That's right.
Yeah, I definitely thought that things went a little far. They were out of control, out of hand for quite a bit of that time. Obviously, the issue at hand was that the meeting rules and procedures had not yet been amended. So I think until that happened, it was a null and void point, and what happened should not have happened Monday night.
Thank you.
All right, real quick. First off, thank you for running. I agree everybody needs to be involved. My question for you will be this. Why you? How does the city council look different with you on it?
Well, to be fairly obvious, there are no women on city council, and I think that that's a valuable viewpoint that we're kind of missing. And I also think that my personality and my decision-making process of thinking things through very thoroughly. I'm also a very well-prepared person, so you can count on the fact that I will read those 80-page packets before I get to that meeting, and I will know what's on that agenda, and hopefully we'll have already thought through it and be able to talk about it. But I think the preparation and also the viewpoint, and also, you know, just the fact that I'm really rooted here and I've been here a long time, and I think that's a good perspective to have on council.
Whose seat actually are you running, or who would you be replacing if you won?
Gary Wolfram.
Okay.
Yep.
Is he running? Oh, he's not even running?
Nope.
Are you running unopposed?
Nope.
Okay. Who are you running
I'm
against?
running against Matt Kniffin
Oh.
and John Kast.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you guys were all on the same.
Yep.
Well, that's interesting. Hey, thanks guys for coming. This has got spicier than I thought it was gonna get. Awesome.
Thank you, Amber. I'm sorry, we have a couple more questions. I thought we were done.
Just a real quick question. If you're elected as the representative for Ward 3, let's say there's an issue that comes up and you believe in your heart of hearts it's the best thing to do for the city in the long run, but your constituents completely against it, how do you vote?
Hypothetically.
If that were to happen. You know, that's a tough one. Honestly, you're there to represent your constituents, but you are also there to make sure that the city is benefiting and growing and pursuing opportunities that it needs to. So I think that would just be a great time for some open conversations with the constituents and let them know what my thought is and why I would tend to vote the way that I would vote, and hopefully we can have some great discourse on that.
How do you differ from your...
Microphone, please.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
How do you differ from your opponent politically?
Honestly, I don't really know yet. I was kind of hoping they'd get to go before me tonight, so I can hear some things, but
Be in order.
Hmm?
A debate, an instant debate.
it could be,
right?
there could be. We are the only ward that has more than 2 candidates running, so we're the only ones that have a runoff in August, so I'm really excited about it.
I have another question.
Hello. There's been often times where we would like to ask questions to the council, and you can't do that at a meeting. How do we solve that problem?
It is, and it's really hard because, you know, you have the public comment on the agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. And the public comment at the end is for things that were not on the agenda, so you don't really have a chance to ask those questions about conversations that happened after you publicly commented. So I think it might be in order to look at the meeting rules and procedures as well for that, because I do think there should be a chance to ask some questions and learn more about what just happened during the meeting.
I'm sorry.
So in your rules and procedures that also just got amended, it kind of addresses to your point. In those, there is opportunity for a board member to speak to the person at the podium if they ask to address, if they ask the chair to address that person. Nobody ever does this. Would you do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I got one more question. This is a difficult one. So there is a bunch of, let's just say, animosity surrounding council. And there's a lot of people that cause a lot of drama around that animosity. Would you add or take away to that?
I would sincerely hope that I would take away and kind of be kind of a calming presence, a level-headed kind of presence, not gonna lose my temper, things like that.
One more question? Anyone? One more.
Governor Whitmer had declared June Gay Pride Month. Now, should we extend that to Hillsdale County? Should we embrace Gay Pride Month in our county? The Democratic Party had a Gay Pride picnic, I believe, recently. How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't think it needs to be a declaration or anything like that. I do think that the way the Democratic Party did it, you know, they invited people and it was kind of their event. It wasn't a City of Hillsdale event. I think that was a good way to do it.
What is your opinion on it?
I support Pride Month, but like I said, I wouldn't think there needs to be a decree or anything like that.
Okay, one follow-up.
This is an old one that's been going around for quite a few years now. Those kind of books in the children's section, is that appropriate or not?
I think it just depends on each individual book. I don't think you can do a blanket ban or anything like that, but I think it deserves scrutiny. You need to kind of look at each one individually, see the messaging in it. So I think it kind of just depends on the book.
Thank you so much, Amber. Appreciate you. All right, next I'd like to call Matthew Kniffin. And I'm just now meeting him for the first time. Welcome.
Hi everybody, I think I was actually here a couple years ago. I had run previously for Ward 3, so I'm back in the race again. Matt Kniffin, I live right over here on Reading Avenue with my wife and 5 kids. We've lived in Hillsdale for 5 years now. We moved here from New York originally. I lived in one small town my whole life, and I was told about how great of a town Hillsdale is. And great of a town to raise your kids in. And we had some friends also living here at the time, so we picked up and moved. It was a pretty wild experience. Like I said, I lived in one place mostly my whole life, other than college. But since then, like I said, had a few more kids when we got here. And then things I like to do around town: coach baseball and work. I work in manufacturing here up in Litchfield. Also, as Amber mentioned, she was on the planning commission and zoning board. I'm on the zoning board and planning commission right now. So it's been maybe 3 years roughly doing that. Some good experience there for myself, just learning ordinances and that kind of thing, and how to debate at meetings. It's fun. Kind of got, good experience there. I have just a few points. I mean, his question was like top three issues, and I kind of came prepared. So I'll give you some of mine so you don't get asked the question.
I was going to ask it anyway.
Yeah. So I'll cut. Here we go. So Amber brought it up already. I think one of the biggest ones is electrical rates. Obviously, this is a mandate from the state, right? The state's saying, whatever, I forget the exact numbers, 30, 40, 50%, maybe 100 eventually. It has to be renewable, have to be more expensive. Right, one of the last few meetings, right, City Manager Mackey said we're buying energy for renewables at $70 a kilowatt instead of 30. So you quickly see now this is the state's doing, right? But as all these projects have been approved by our city council and our city management also. Right, so they're voting on these renewable projects, and they're voting for those higher rates. Now, should they vote no? It's a good question. I think they should consider it, and I will most likely do that. One of my concerns is maybe there's nowhere to get energy from in the future besides renewables. Then I don't want your power to go off. So this is a big challenge, but I think we should be willing, because we have a BPU, our own utility, to maybe say no. Like I said, not an easy decision, but something we might have to do. The other one is obviously roads. As I'm driving here, I'm driving down South Street, so you guys know. But it's good to see South Street getting done this year and getting done without SADs, without SADs. It was kind of mind-blowing to see how quickly and easily, right, 51% of people could turn out, sign a petition, and SADs for their road. I'm thankful for those people that knocked on doors. Berry Street shouldn't be forgotten. We should repave Berry Street. That might be one of my campaign promises. Maybe not a promise, that's going too far. But Berry Street should be paved without SADs. And as you saw, the city management did say it can be done. Obviously, there'd be less money coming in, but the roads can be paved. So I was thankful for that. So paving roads without SADs is one of my big issues. Another one I wrote down, it's kind of silly, but the Kiefer House, the good old Kiefer House. Honestly, I have no end and all that kind of stuff downtown. It seems to come up every 2 or 3 months. Obviously, it's more than that. Extreme, but that's another challenge for the city, and we might need to give them a harder deadline in the future, where no more approvals will happen. I think that's all I have right now. Any questions?
Over here.
I don't need the mic.
Actually,
because people can't hear.
Yeah, so
and
thank
it
you.
needs to be recorded.
Yeah, we can hear you, but not everybody can.
Would you be interested in, or at least willing to look into the possibility of curtailing the power of the city manager?
Yeah, actually, I probably should have had that as one of my points, but I had. So, right, we've had city manager and BPU under one head, right, under one person for a while. Very strongly in favor, and in this next election, the people on the next city council will choose our next city manager, and we'll choose, well, in this case, if city manager Mackey stays on, which is the plan, as BPU director, for a time, we should have 2 different jobs. So I think it's good that it'll be split. We'll have a full-time city manager. That's good. And I'm in favor of a lot of the arguments for a strong city mayor, or an actual mayor instead of a city manager.
Yes.
It's the time and place, or the time and the person sometimes. Maybe you have a good mayor you trust, and there's time to do that. So yeah, more or less, I'm in favor of it.
City council as government, what is their primary purpose, and where do we find that primary purpose, in what founding document?
Better take a class.
Something tells me you already know the answer to that question.
I mean, I'm just going to draw a line all the way up. The city charter, well, you're shaking your head, so I got it wrong. But I'm going with the city charter, state of Michigan, the U.S. Constitution, and God ultimately, and all those the people that they represent. So you can correct me if you'd like, but that's what I'm going with.
If the state of Michigan turned red, would it help the electrical problem?
I feel like I don't want to wait for the mic here, but yes. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, it's only fair that I ask you too about the Sessions v. Lashaway drama on Monday.
No, you mean anonymous?
Infamous.
I mean, obviously it was ridiculous. Obviously, Mayor Sessions, from the videos we've seen, likes to follow around Lance, and so there's some animosity there. There's some animosity there, and that came out. Should you have to say your name? It's I've heard Open Meetings Act says you actually don't have to. Everyone knew who Lance was, and the city clerk could write his name down. So it was all very silly.
Question?
Same question. Where do the citizens go, and not as an individual, because I think it tells a lot when you see council members in the same room answering questions. Where do we go to get answers to questions? Do we do it at town hall or at the city? because I've approached this before and they've said, oh, you can't have a quorum because now you're doing this or whatever and all the other baloney. So I found out the hard way that decisions are made in committee. And when they get to the city council, it's basically a vote. A lot of people don't know that. And that is disappointing, that people aren't aware and that information is not being shared. And so my question is, how do we resolve that so we can get to a point, whether it be that the citizens that have an interest in a certain topic, because there's very little information about the committees when they're meeting, and I'm sorry, but I'm not walking up to the, city hall every day to find out if there's a meeting. It's just ridiculous. So, and what they're gonna be talking about on the agenda, you can get really blindsided, and it's happened. It came up with the occupancies, and by the way, get on that committee and lower those rates, because that's ridiculous what they went from $25 to $100. And I found that out as they were voting, that I should have said something, which I didn't know anything about how they were gonna vote or really even what it was about. I was waiting for an answer, and it was basically decided in committee, not knowing that. Found out the hard way. So that's my point, is that what do we do to resolve that? So if somebody has a question, if somebody wants to come and have a conversation with not just one, because I don't wanna call all, everybody on the thing and have individual meetings. I wanna see how you play off each other, basically. And because I think I'm getting more of an honest view of how you interact when you're communicating as a group. And you can't do that at a council meeting.
Yeah, so I think was your question before about interaction at the podium, like when you're on one side. I mean, Josh said at one point that the rules and procedures, I should double check his work here, but the rules and procedures don't actually say they cannot respond to you, right? That's often said where you ask a question and they just sit there with blank stares. I mean, a meeting can go all night if everyone just comes up and asks questions. So you need to choose your responses maybe sometimes, but they should respond to questions. So city council, if that's a rule and procedure, maybe we could change it. And like I said, you can't answer every question if there's 200 people lined up, but they should be willing to respond. And I guess I'd be open to the committee meetings being recorded. People would like that probably. Like you said, important decisions were made there. The police chief that decision was essentially made at the OG committee, and it was basically just brought to the whole council to say yes, say they approved, and the guy was already, I think he was already there. So, but they might have made a good decision in that case. So, do you think that answers your question, or anything else? You can follow. I mean,
across the street.
Yeah, more dialogue between the people and their representatives is good. In front of everyone, and one-on-one. So.
Isn't there 9 people on the council?
Yeah, 8 and then mayor.
8 and then mayor, yeah. I'm from Jonesville, so I have no idea. I mean, I should know more. Guilty as charged. I don't attend Hillsdale city meetings, but my question would be with 9 people, and you're only representing one ward, what could you bring to the table that will really help the people? I mean, do you know all the other people in the council? I mean, do you think you'll play well with everybody? Because when I ran for county commissioner, 2 of the commissioners came up and asked me that question that John asked Amber, that if the people want something to go one way, but in the long run it's going to be a lot better for the county for you to go the different way, do you have the courage to vote a different way? And I think that's a very impactful thing, because we're elected of the people, by the people, and for the people. And so myself, I told him, no, I'm not going to go against the people. I'm elected by them. I'm representing the people. I'm not representing myself. I'm not representing the council. So, but what do you think you could bring to help? because you see Hillsdale's in big time turmoil, man. It's in a lot of trouble. We need people good in there, you know?
Yeah, we don't even know our names.
Too soon? I threw a lot at you.
Yeah, I actually kind of quickly wanted to, you brought up that question before about would you vote with the people or would you vote, or John did that? So, I mean, I kind of quickly wanted to bring up that.
The commissioner, two of the commissioners actually asked me that question when I ran. I ran for District 2 years ago and I lost.
Okay. I think generally, yes, you should vote with how your people, and if it's how your people want. If it's an issue like the road diet, if it's an issue like the roads, but if there's something that's a matter of conscience, and you just, just can't, then you're just gonna have to go against, and the people who elected you. So I think Amber's answer was somewhere along these lines, I think. I mean, when it's a matter of conscience, you just can't do it.
You might have to obey God.
Right, exactly. So, what's that?
That's what abstention is for.
Sure. And then, so what do I bring to council? I think, I hope I bring energy. One of my goals is to bring energy, new perspective, a willingness to maybe to debate and argue and push back when I see something wrong.
So courage.
Sure. Better.
Excuse me, I think I heard Amber agree that she'd be up for a debate. I don't mean right now. But would you as well? I would like to see debates in all the races, and I hope you three could do a debate for us.
Sounds like fun.
Any other questions?
I think I could speak for us that we would be willing to hold the debate.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a problem with that.
Not a problem at all.
Oh, one more question.
So my question would be the same one I asked before. My question would be the same one I asked the other candidate. Why you, and I think you kind of answered the second part already, how would the council be different with you, but why you?
I just go back to why I'm here. I have 5 kids. I live here, and I want them all to live here or live pretty close by. I think that's all of our goals for our kids. And I want to make keep Hillsdale what it is. It's a great place to live, and help maintain that for generations. And repeat some of the things I said.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Oh, we got one more. Sorry, one more follow-up. I should know this.
State your name.
If we state your name.
We're going to deny that request. So I think what everybody's kind of getting at, our council is clearly divided. It clearly does not speak amongst itself. It doesn't even speak to the citizens. And I think it's becoming clear that the council can and does change rules and bylaws and all kinds of stuff. It certainly appears that these rules are being changed in favor of government, in favor of authority. There is absolutely nothing stopping any of the people that are on council from A, not changing those rules, or B, changing the rules that have been changed over the years to be more towards government, pro-government, to more back to where they used to be, pro the people. Are you one of the people that would change pro-government or pro-people?
There's a wrong answer. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Lance, with what Lance said. And while he was talking, I reminded another point that I wrote down, which was, and this isn't exactly what he was asking, but making sure city appointments to city boards, especially things like TIFA, right, BPU, is for city residents only. I think sometimes they, maybe it's not city government necessarily, but just kind of the mass bureaucracy of the state and different other agencies around the state kind of get their power in our local government through appointments, and that's generally the power of the mayor. but the city council can decide. But so, yeah, for the people, and especially the people of Hillsdale.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, and our final candidate, John Kast. Welcome, John. Thanks for coming.
All right, good evening. A lot of good questions today. So I'm John Kast. I've lived in Hillsdale all of my life. My mother and father lived here all of their life. Most of my family has. I come from a very big family. There were 6 of us. I'm married to my lovely wife Peggy for the last 11 years, and we have 3 kids and 6 grandchildren, who most of them live in Hillsdale. That is why I'm running. I want to make sure that Hillsdale changes. There are a lot of animosity, as we've all discussed tonight, that needs to stop. It needs to change. Okay? I would like to change that because I'm a cool person. I believe in making decisions based on data. Everything that I've done in my career has always been based on data and what if and how can we solve it. Okay? You put a team together, you work with the team, you all treat each other with respect, and if it gets out of hand, you stop, regroup, and get it back together. Those are the best ways to do things in a team, with a team. But you have to manage it. I had a mentor years ago, I won't say how many years, that always taught me if it's not measured, it's not managed. And that's part of our problem. BPU raised the rates. Okay, let's find out why they raised the rates. Let's see the data. Show it to the people. Bring some transparency. You know, let's show the people why our roads aren't getting fixed. Where's the money? Where's it going? Let's get some transparency out there. Let's show them what they want to see so they can make the decisions too. Okay. And as far as your question, on the city website, you can see who is on committees and when the committees meet. If you have a question, if I were elected to city council and you have a question or restrictions, please talk to me. Call me, email me. Be more than happy to get with you, find out what the problem is, and come back to you with an answer. That has always been my biggest part of my career. I was a production supervisor and a maintenance supervisor all of my career, and I always went back to everybody with an answer. They may not have always liked the answer I brought up, but it was an answer. We need to bring transparency, help businesses in this town grow. Our downtown area would be great if we can make that grow. Bring some more restaurants in. Try and get younger generations involved in things. I have a lot of younger generation people that I work with, that I talk to, they don't even vote. And I ask them why. What does it matter? That's what I hear. Well, it does matter. As John could probably attest to that. It always matters. You gotta put in your input if you want to change things. And if you don't like the way things are going, why didn't you vote? You know, that's what I always tell them. You know, as I said, the roads are always a problem. The Kiefer House, there needs to be a plan presented to the people. We need to know what's going on there and why it's taking so long. You know, we're not even getting tax revenue from this property right now because it's in construction. Why? You know, it's been going on for too long. Either get it done or start paying your taxes. One of the two. Really, that's all I have to say. Amber and Matt, you great candidates. You had a lot to say. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to run with you. It's an honor. So, anybody got any questions I can help with?
All right, looking on the city website. I can see your name there. I don't see an email for you. I don't see a phone number to reach you. That's why I had to go the other way through somebody else. Thanks. I mean, if she's looking on the website, there's gotta be some information for them to be able to reach you folks.
That is right. I was gonna bring that point up. She is right. It is not there. And the city website is there, but it's not, it needs to be updated more frequently. I will say that because I go to it a lot and look at it. So that is an issue I will take care of. Yes, ma'am.
I've been going to the city council meetings for quite a while, and I've seen the transition from where it felt like everybody was just sitting there, they presented something that they voted on, and it just went on. Then we had a period where there was a lot of debate going on, which I absolutely loved. I found out more about what was going on because they were willing to discuss. Now we've gone into chaos, and I'm looking forward to that to ending, but I would really hate it to go back to where it looks like it's nothing but a rubber stamp, and all the decisions are completely made in committee, and everyone's just agreeing. The amount of information that has come out through discussions during the meeting, and I know it makes them longer, but it is so beneficial to the citizens to be able to actually see those things happening in front of us. And you can see that thought process, and I've learned an awful lot about some of the decisions that I thought wasn't a good decision, and when they talked about what it entailed and how in-depth and all of the things that they had to consider, it gave me a better perspective and more respect for what the decisions that they have to make, some of the tough decisions that they have to make, where money is concerned and whether or not, they can afford to do this. I mean, that's the reality. They gotta have the money to do what they're doing, if the money's being spent correctly. So I would hope that anybody that ends up getting on the council will continue with that willingness to have a debate, because that's not bad. We've made debating seem like it's a bad thing, and it really does allow people to see and get a better perspective on both sides of the issues.
I agree with you. There should be some debates on quite a few issues. And I'm just gonna bring this up. That is what the mayor's job is to keep it under control. It is his responsibility to keep that meeting under control, and if it gets out of control, to bring it back. And to make sure that everybody in that room is treating everybody with respect. He is the head, okay? It's just like a president of a company, that is his job. So yeah, there needs to be more debates, and there needs to be more transparency and communication to the people. You guys are the ones paying the property taxes. So we need to make sure that you know what your money's getting spent on. Yes.
I don't know if it's losing its battery or.
No,
it's you, okay, all right. For a minute there, I thought God was calling me home. Let's say if you're on council and you're only one of 9, and I hear this a lot. I'm only one vote of 9, John. Let's say a group of very concerned citizens come to you and they ask you to put a motion on the table. Will you put that motion on the table even if you know you're not going to get a second? Or will you not put that motion on the table because you know you're not going to get a second?
If I have a group of concerned citizens wanting me to bring a motion to the board, yes, I would put it on there. Even if I believe that the rest of the people in there aren't going to second it, I would still bring it up. Everybody needs to know. It's exactly. They need to know that my constituents asked me to do this, and I'm going to do it. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Okay.
I don't hear very well, but I hear your voice, and I heard her, but she held the microphone. I just want to say, if you're getting up there to speak, hold the microphone up here, then I can hear. Thank you.
Anybody else want? Oh, Mr. Lashley.
That guy.
Oh, am I supposed to say your name?
No, he's saying today. We didn't know who he was.
always ask them very directly. Children's book thing, animosity thing, and pro-government, pro-people thing.
Children books thing is yeah, that's another issue. Because I disagree, but I also agree that parents should have more say in what their children are looking at. It's up to the parents' responsibility to raise their children too. It's not up to us to do it for them. But do I agree that those books are there? My personal opinion on that is no. I don't. If their parents want them to read these books, their parents know how to get them. The internet's out there. Animosity, there'll always be, like I said, struggles between people. Everybody has a different opinion. Mine's not gonna be the same as yours. Yours isn't the same as mine. That doesn't mean that we can't disagree and still get along. Okay. I have several friends that, let's just say they're for a different political party than I am. And we talk about some politics, but it doesn't mean we hate each other. We don't argue about it. I have my opinion, they have theirs. We don't agree. We're fine with that. That's the way the United States was brought. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be that everybody has the same opinion as mine, because to be honest with you, that'd be a boring world. Did I answer them all?
The pro-government thing.
I got it, it's Doug.
There is one miss for governments.
You had a question?
Okay, Lance said he missed one of the three.
Oh, yeah, the pro-people, pro-government. I'll let you answer that.
That's an easy one. I'm pro-people. It's the people of the United States that made the United States. We represent it. Government's gotten, even in federal, state levels, they've gotten out of control. They're too big. You know, need to reduce them down, let the people have more say in what's going on.
Quit stealing money from them.
I agree.
Same question, more or less. Can you say a few words about our current mayor? With the other guy or not? Just how you think he's doing?
Clearly don't know his name.
The current mayor that we have, I watched the meeting from Monday and I was very disappointed. He should not have acted that way. It's very unprofessional. And there needs to be professionalism in the board meetings. You know, like I said, you have to have respect. It doesn't matter if I don't like you and you don't like me. We're there to do a job, not our personal opinions. Okay? And I felt from watching that he was personally attacking another person from what I could see on the videos.
Thank you.
So Steve isn't in here, but why you? Same question Steve asked.
Why not?
Good answer.
Why me? Well, why not? You know, I'm here to help. That's what I want to do. That's what I've done all my life. I've helped a lot of people succeed in their jobs, in their careers, and that's what I want to do with our city and our city government. I want to bring respect back to it, get rid of the animosity, and help people succeed and help our city grow. There's a little town not too far from here that my wife and I like to visit. They do so much in that town. The last festival they had 50,000 visitors, and their population is about the same as ours. Why can't we do things like that? You know how much revenue that brings into the city, to the people, to the restaurants, the stores? You know, let's make the cities grow. And they have a very nice city. They keep it clean. So.
Are you related to Brian? Come see. Are you related to Brian?
Yeah, he's my
And I'll ask the top 3 concerns that you see for the city and what you plan to do about them.
Top 3 concerns, well, of course, the roads. You know, that'll always be a discussion. And I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that I'm gonna fix the damn roads. it's like there's somebody else I can do it. I'm gonna help, try and get them resolved. The other one, the electric rates. Okay, they jumped up, the state jumped them up. Why? I really don't know, and I'm gonna have to pay it just like everybody else. Why'd the state raise it? What are we doing that we have to raise the electric rates so high? What are these companies doing? You know? And the third one, basically my feeling on the third biggest problem we have faced is the animosity in our city government and the lack of teamwork. It needs to stop and it needs to go away, and people need to work together. I mean, if Amber gets it, I get it. I look forward to working with Amber because I like what she said. So, really, that's all I.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I would like to thank all three candidates for coming out tonight and answering some questions and letting us know a little bit about what they plan to do for the city. That's not easy. I understand that it's important. You know, we all care about the city and the county. We need good people to step up and run for these positions. Like I say, not easy. If it was easy, anybody could do it. All right, next up, I'm going to call Chris Wingate up. We have an introduction.
Before the introduction, there's a lot of food left. It'd be kind of nice to see it all getting ate up.
One other thing really quickly. Actually, it was brought up, the possibility of a debate. And I don't want to put the candidates on the spot right now, but we are certainly willing to host a debate at our meeting next month. It would be the second Thursday next month because of the holidays, so we'll be meeting a week later. So if you're interested in doing that, definitely talk with us. We could have a format where you'd have a chance to prepare, bring a couple of issues or questions. We could have some questions up front. That might be interesting to see. So, Doug.
It'd be July 9th.
July 9th, thank you. All right. Oh, yeah, we have a question or?
Well, just on that debate, because I don't know how many opportunities they will get or the people will get to hear them debate. So I hope you guys, thank you for organizing and hosting it and this, but if we could get like Corey Murray or the Hillsdale or there was somebody else to moderate it or something, that might, if they can agree on who that might be. Corey seems obvious.
Yeah,
Good,
that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion.
Help promote it too.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Good point.
That they're involved.
Okay, thank you. Chris, take it away.
Once again, we were expecting a bigger crowd than what we've got, so there's plenty of food. Help yourself. And I would like to introduce our next governor of Michigan.
Thank you, Chris. I will fight for that position, and we continue to do that. I don't know if there's people here that don't know who I am. My name is Rebandt. My wife, Carol, is here in the audience. I had a crush on her in 7th grade. Gave her an engagement ring on graduation night from high school. We got married 6 months later, and this December will be 50 years for us.
Wow.
So we have 4 grown children, 21 grandkids, and we are here fighting for the next generation. I've been a pastor for 35 years. I've been a police chaplain for 35 years. I've been endorsed by the Southeastern Michigan Chiefs of Police. Ottawa County, by the way, just met 2 nights ago, and they endorsed me as their candidate for governor, which was exciting to see and hear. But we have a glitch. How many of you know about the glitch? Got a few folks here. I'll just tell you really quick what's going on. I'll just give you a couple quick facts. Boy, this is a tough crowd to answer questions for, Dan, I'm telling you. But anyway, I will give you time to do that as well. But I just wanted to give you some quick facts. And I know Genevieve's got some facts on her situation with signatures and all with Lansing. Our campaign was on not just a campaign, it was a movement. It was growing really big. On May 20th, we get a letter from the Bureau of Elections that says you don't have enough signatures to get on the ballot. And I was really in shock because we We collected over 20,000. We went through those 20,000 looking for people who signed in the wrong county and they put their birthday down rather than the date of signing and all those typical things. And we crossed off about 1,500 to 2,000 signatures. We turned in 18,214, which is 20% over. It's essentially what we did in 2022. And so I'm in shock. How did we not have enough signatures? Because we'd already gone through those. And so what happened was they instituted something in 2023 called a 750 signature sample. That is a sample that's, the policy is in their policy manual, the Bureau of Elections policy manual. And what they do is they just take out 750 signatures and they look at them and they say, okay, how many are good here, how many are bad? And then they project that across the whole deposit of signatures. So what they're doing is they're saying, I have 500, out of the 750, I have 533 good signatures, but there are 217 that they thought were invalid. So we had a couple people, I'll tell you a couple things. One, our attorney looked at those signatures, those 217, we had objections to over 100 of them. Literally over 100 of them. And I'll give you one of the examples. You have to sign your name in the first column. You have to print your name in the next column. Well, one of them that they dinged was a guy wrote T. Jones, Jones. And then in the printing column, it was T. Jones. Both of them looked exactly the same. There are some people, you guys know this, the young people are not learning how to write cursive.
Yeah.
That was probably his real signature. So we found things like that, and we went to the board of canvassers and we said we would like to have 2 days to go to the county clerks, the local clerks, and ask ourselves the question, does this match the signature on file? The response was, well, that might open a can of worms. The county clerks might go against the Bureau of Elections and the Board of Canvassers. And I'm just like, this is nuts, this is nuts. And so we came home, our attorney, they shut us down on that very simple request. And they had the authority to do it, they had the time to do it, but they said no. So now we have to regroup. What are we going to do? Because we spent time thinking who's going to go where to examine all these county signatures. So then we get our attorney and he says, you know what, Ralph, this whole 750 signature sample isn't even law. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened? And he says, well, here's what happened. In 2023, they put the 750 sample into their policy manual. Then they realized that in order to enforce this, they need the legislature to help them. So they asked the legislature, Democratic Senate, Democratic House, would you guys pass a bill that the governor can sign that would say that we have the authority to collect 750 signatures? They get it passed. They set it on Governor Whitmer's desk. Praise God, she vetoes it. She said, this isn't right. There's a lot of questions right now in Michigan about the election process. This will create more. She then said, what if you take a sample of 750 good signatures, but the rest of them are correct? And you're going to get a candidate who shouldn't even be on there, so you need to examine all those signatures. She vetoes it. What does the Bureau of Elections continue to do? 750 signatures. Guess who the first person is that runs into this? That's me. So I'm not going to let this go. We appealed to the Court of Appeals today. They ruled that the Bureau of Elections had the right to do what they did, to say we're not going to compare signatures. Yeah, right. So now we just filed, when I walked out, my attorney called me and he said, I'm filing the papers right now with the Supreme Court, Michigan Supreme Court, so we are filing those papers hoping they will give us a hearing. And if they don't give us a hearing, I'm not going to let this go. I can't let this go. The reason why is this is a matter of, number one, administrative, bureaucratic overreach and authority that they don't have the ability to do. In fact, it was shut down by Whitmer. So number one, they don't have that. Number two, as Whitmer said, and I'm going to quote her, I've been asked this whole campaign for governor since last September, Ralph, would you change anything that Governor Whitmer has done? I said, I'll probably change everything she's done.
Yeah.
But this is one thing I wouldn't change, because she's right. Anyway, I'm fighting, and she said this is not, and I understand a constitutional republic, Sir John. I do understand we are a constitutional republic, but I will, and I'm using their language. She said this violates the democratic process. The voice of the people is not heard. And she's right, the voice of the people is not heard in this situation. Not because of the elected people, who their voice is through the elected people, but through the bureaucratic groups that have no accountability to anyone. And they are right now doing whatever they want. And this is common here in Michigan. I think you remember this when the Michigan Supreme Court told Governor Whitmer, you've exceeded your emergency orders during COVID. What did she do after that? She weaponized one of her administrative offices called the health department. She sent them out to businesses. And so that's what's going on. These unelected bureaucrats, you've all talked about government's too big. I agree with that 100%. But that's what's going on in this whole thing. So I'm going to continue to fight. We're going to put up billboards, actually. We're talking. We do have our billboards up all over the state already, and we've already paid for June. And right now they've taken me off the ballot, so I appreciate the introduction as the next governor of Michigan. I wish that was true, but even if I don't get that nod to get back on through the Supreme Court, I'm telling you folks, for the next generation, that's why I'm running. We have to protect this state for the next generation. And I tell people that I'm not running for the next election. I'm not a ladder climber looking to go from, state house to state senate to governor to president. I don't have time for that. Michigan doesn't have time for that. Our children need their future secure. And I'm going to fight for that. Even if I'm not running for governor, I'm going to fight for that till the day I die. So having said that, as we were talking about, for the people and government versus people, you all know that we start out, we the people. We all know that in the Constitution it says that whenever government gets to the point where it doesn't, would you quote that for me, John?
That's the Declaration of Independence.
That's what I meant to say, yes.
Any form of government becomes destructive at these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it.
Alter, abolish, thank you, appreciate that. I knew that, I wanted the official version. I could have given you the Ralph version, but I wanted the official version. And then, Abraham Lincoln, at the end of the Gettysburg Address, he said that this nation would have a new birth of freedom, and that this government of the people, for the people, and by the people shall not perish from off the earth. And that's what I'm fighting for. That's my heart, that's my attitude, and I think the Bureau of Elections has messed with the wrong person. So having said that, we will open it up to questions if that's okay, Dr. Dan. Are we able to have questions? I'd love to answer any questions you might have about that. Any other policies, whatever you'd like.
Could I make kind of a comment to start it out?
Yep. Have the mic.
In your first run for governor, you had a story that you told you were on Mackinac Island, and it prompted you to run for governor. Yes. Some might say, and I've thought at times, well, maybe that wasn't a sign from God. But if you never become governor, the people you've met, the things that you've influenced, this very issue that you just spoke of, could be the calling. I don't know if you want to share that story at all. Maybe there's not time, but or if you have it any place online that people could go. It's a pretty astounding story.
I'll just make it short, that's okay. For everybody, our first time we ran for governor, 2022, 4 years ago, our campaign vision and slogan actually was to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. Some of you might remember that. I sensed a call from the Lord. I've been a pastor, and I knew that I had to be a pastor, and at 13 years old, I'm like, okay, Lord, I hear the call, I'm gonna go do it. So when I proposed to Carol on graduation night, I said, I'm gonna be a pastor one day. If you can be a pastor's wife, I'd love to have you marry me. And so here we are, 50 years later. But anyway, I sensed a call to run for governor, and so we prayed about it before we told anybody else. We asked our family to pray about it, asked the church to pray about it. But during this whole time, we asked ourselves, or we sensed make Michigan a lighthouse in the nation. We have more lighthouses than any other state in the union. So to cut out all this stuff, there's a lot to this story, but I'll just give you another minute and a half of it. I was up north building a barn. My father-in-law's a builder, and I've helped him through all kinds of things with building, and I shot a 2-inch nail into my foot with an air nailer, putting plywood sheeting on the roof. So Carol takes me to the emergency room. We come back, and our friend said, "You're not getting back on the roof tomorrow." I said, "I believe that's true." So anyway, they said, "We're going to Mackinac Island." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't. It's going to be a hard time walking, whatever." So they said, "You're either going to sit here, you're going to sit on the boat, you're going to sit on the bench, you're going to sit in a carriage, you're going to whatever." So I decided to go. At 12:30, my foot's throbbing, and I sat on the wall where the fort's up on the hill. And as I was sitting there texting somebody with my foot up, a random guy comes up to me and he says, "I'd like to give this coin to you in the name of Jesus." And I look up and I take it from him and I said, "Thank you very much. He's my Savior and my Lord." I look at the coin. There's a lighthouse on that coin. And there's a Bible verse that says, "Go forth in truth and light." I take it and I just flip it up and I look up to say, "Why did you give this to me?" He wasn't there. I've never had that happen to me before in my life. I've read stories like that in Reader's Digest, and somebody helps them change their tire, or whatever. I never had that happen to me before in my life, and it blew me away. I mean, this was after Labor Day. There were like 10 people standing around, and that guy was not there. He looked like a homeless guy. I mean, it was easy to pick out. So I took that, yes, as an individual call from the Lord, as confirmation, because I knew He laid on my heart to run for governor. And for me, that was it. The Lord did something similar to that this time around too, but we're in the race, we're in the fight, and I'm not sure what. And to be honest with you, as a pastor, this whole race has been like, "God, what are you doing? What are you doing in my life?" Our trajectory was like this, and then I get this letter on May 20th. And what I've described this as being is a death certificate for my campaign, and the cause of death is going to say malpractice. That's how we're going to describe this thing. If I don't get back on the ballot, that's going to be my tagline. So anyway, thank you for asking for me to share that with you.
And the malpractice wasn't on your part, it was on their part.
You got it.
Make sure that's not missing.
Yes, and that's why I want to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. Because it's not fair to take 750. The only thing that they proved, if they were right on that 217 signatures, if they were right on it, all that means is we turned in 18,214, and now we're down to 17,997 that are good. That's what it shows. So I'm tired of this stuff, and we're fighting it. Yes, John.
Just a quick comment. You said everything was going good, and then it wasn't, and it was a calling of God. There was somebody else, his life was going real good, and the next thing he was throwing in with the Lions. Things went really well for him, too. It's all about the faith in God.
Amen.
So we have sent some good people. There have been good people that have gone to government, and they get eaten up and chewed out. How do you prevent that from happening to you when you make governor?
Great question. One of the things is I answer to the Lord, and I don't just say that. It's like the Hebrew national hot dog, we answer to a higher authority. And I don't, there's some questions about, representing the people or representing your own convictions. My answer to that would be simply this. What God says we should do, which is very clear in His Word. I mean, that's what our country was founded on. Brother John, I've been going around for the last 4 years presenting the biblical basis for the Constitution. People say it's a godless Constitution. It's not true whatsoever. That's the biggest lie that people promote. But my point is, I'm not perfect, I'll guarantee you that. My wife will tell you that. But the reality is, having people around you. My wife she would have smacked Eve in the face for eating the fruit. She would, Adam and Eve in the garden. So, but anyway, having good people around you that hold you accountable and having that relationship with the Lord. You know, I tell people I've been bought once already by the blood of Christ. I don't need to be bought, and I won't be bought by anybody else. And also, you know, in my whole life and in my ministry, there have been people that have put money on my desk and said, we need to go in this direction. I'm like, take your money. I'm not interested in that. Money has never motivated me. I mean, when you get married at 18, money's not, you know, it's like the Carpenters. You know, I forget the song that they had. Somebody could try to pull that out, but, you know, there's more month left at the end of the money than money left at the end of the month. And, you know, so it's never motivated me to do anything except live for the Lord. That's what my whole policy is. Yes, I hope that answers your question. Yes, more spiritual answer.
I know there's a lot going on in the government right now, but if you were there next week, what would you do?
I would fire Jonathan Brader, who is the director of the first thing I would do, yes. Oh dear. You know, there's so much that needs to be done. But right now, friends, and this is why this is so disappointing that 4 people who are on the Board of Canvassers think that they can override 18,214 voices in Michigan. We're ready to go right now. We have taken, our team has gone through the budget. You probably are aware that the budget last year was $85 billion. The Republicans brought it down to about $80 billion, somewhere around there. The Democrats and Whitmer want to take it up to $86 billion. The Republicans are pushing for 76. Our team has gone through that, and we are ready right now to cut almost $12 billion from the budget. You wouldn't even miss it. I mean, think of this. When the budget was $59 billion, we had better schools, better roads. And now the budget's, you know, almost $30 billion more, and we have worse schools, worse roads, you know, worse everything in Michigan. Mental illness, I mean, I don't have time to keep naming this stuff. You all know that. It's in your family. People are moving out. These aren't theoretical things. Just say, oh, well, the population of Michigan is dropping. Some of you don't have kids here because of the policies of Michigan. There's an empty chair at your table. That means a lot to me. Questions? Yes.
Sorry, I'm only asking this question because it was passed to me to ask, and I don't know how many people even read this article, but it's about
Speaking to the mic.
it's about your Bitcoin donation or gift, if you can speak on that.
Sure, absolutely.
In my first run for governor in 2022, I had spent my entire retirement. I was pastor for 35 years, and we saved up somewhere around $200-some thousand, $220 or something like that, for our retirement. And we spent that to run for governor in 2022. We spent the whole amount. And I had a friend who knew that, and I had no idea he was able to respond. And he came up to me, I think it was in December of 24, and he said, Ralph, I'd like to give you some Bitcoin. And I said, well, don't know what that means, but okay. I mean, I knew what Bitcoin was, but I didn't know what it meant. And so he gave me, I think it was 8 Bitcoin, something like that. And he said I paid X amount of dollars for it when it first came out, and just has been sitting there for whatever, 20 years. And it was worth, I don't know, $800,000 or something. And I was like, and he said, you know, you can do whatever you want to with it. You want to take care of it, Tahiti, or buy a new truck. I mean, our truck out there's got 350,000 miles on it. And he said, you get a new truck, you get whatever you want. And I'm just like, maybe the calling to make Michigan a lighthouse of the nation is still on. So we have had an aunt who passed away as well. She left us some money. We sold our house in Farmington Hills. So we had some money in the bank and said, you know, let's run again. You know, our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. The word fortune wasn't just an empty word. They gave it all. I mean, you can Google how much did our founders lose in signing the Declaration of Independence. There are people who had their ships blown apart by the British. They had their own shipping companies between Virginia and London, blown apart. People's homes were burnt down. And I'm like, I care about this next generation. I'm not taking it with me when I go. So we talked to our kids, and they said, Dad, whatever you can do to protect our kids' future. So that's why we did that. But that's where it came from. I've had news people say, well, what's his name? I can't give the name of the individual away, but it was not tied to the run for governor at all. Yes, sir. I'll get this guy on.
If you could win, how would they put your name back on, because they're being printed right now, the ballots?
Yes. The deadline's tomorrow. They have to let them know tomorrow. I know some of us who are delegates, they send you a copy of it, so is your name spelled correctly on that. They sent me that too. I'm getting these from all these counties with my name on it. But tomorrow's supposedly the deadline. It's not actually anywhere in hard print. I talked to my attorney, as I mentioned just a moment ago, and he said the actual deadline is the 20th, where it would have, I think that's the actual deadline, but they're trying to work it back far enough so that they can put the stuff in. But here's the thing with the Bureau of Elections. They're supposed to let candidates know within 7 days whether or not you have signatures at work. I turned them in on April 16th, another drop on April 21st. We didn't find out till May 20th. And then they claimed that we're stalling. Like we turned our response in at the last minute. No, they let us know the night before, the 21st, you know, I mean, this is just, that's the games they play. They want to run out the clock on a good candidate because they don't want him on there. And, you know, folks, I don't, you know, you probably won't have the opportunity to vote for me, but if you look at all the other candidates, they're all connected with the establishment in some way, every one of them. So getting me off the ticket means that the whole establishment, the deep state, wins regardless of who one of the four is.
You scared him.
I believe that's true. Sir?
What's your stance on property taxes?
Thank you. Property tax. We are going to if I get, I will continue to fight to remove property tax completely. Now, you know, again, I don't want to take all the time, but you know, if you ask how are you going to do that, what do we do with revenue for local places? There are a couple things that we want to do. First of all, we want to privatize all the stuff that government should not be in. Government wastes all your money. They work slow. I go to the Bureau of Elections and there's nobody there. When I went to get my petitions, nobody was there. I make an appointment. Somebody comes in after I'm there 10 minutes later to give me, I mean, this is just how government runs. Should I talk about the U.S. Postal Service? Should I talk about the SOS offices? You guys all know this. So privatize everything that government shouldn't be involved in. You got that too. You know, we shouldn't be owning golf courses. We shouldn't be doing splash parks. These are things that might be fun for your community, but they're not what government needs to be involved in. Let the local people invest in it and make money off of it. That will eliminate a lot of stuff. How do we eliminate property taxes? That's one way. The other way is, right now there are 532 school superintendents around the state. I think the lowest paid school superintendent, maybe a little bit less here, I don't know, about $150,000, but it's up to around 600 plus in some of the bigger communities. If we get rid of 532, but only go down to 83, one per county, that's going to save a boatload of money, and that's what your property tax goes to pay for. So we eliminate all those positions because we have an overload on the administrative state in the schools, in the universities, etc. So that's the one thing. The other thing is we have to wrestle, every city has to wrestle with this question, what is government there for? You have to ask that question. As a governor, I would be there for your safety, so police, fire, EMS. I'm there for infrastructure. I've never seen a Republican drain or a Democratic drain or a Republican road. You just don't see that. But those are things that we all use as people. Elections, education, these are all important things. And we actually had those things listed, and you know, in order to go without property tax, there would be a transition point where the local governments have to wrestle with what's important. Then they come and they talk to my team and they present their case. That's what we did when I was a pastor, when I started new churches, when we worked, I was in charge of new churches in Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Canada. And when those churches would get started, you have to come and ask for, you got to present your case why you need it. Right now, there's all kinds of waste, fraud, and abuse in Michigan's budget. Why? Because the Speaker of the House, and I'm not talking about Matt Hall, I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm just saying, historically, the Speaker of the House says, you need to vote for this. Well, it's like Nancy Pelosi. Let's pass the bill so we can find out what's in it. That's what happens. I mean, she said, I forget your name, ma'am. Amber made a very good comment. I will read the agenda before I go. You'd be surprised how many don't. They just don't. So anyway, that's the point that I'd be making. So it's very possible to remove property tax under those, and then we would move to a state revenue sharing on the rest of it. And we already have state revenue sharing, and it's an opportunity for us to help communities in I could go on and on, but I probably should stop. But yes, we want to remove that.
We have one more question, and then we're going to have to move on, so thank you. We got two over here who need to be asked. Okay.
Just a quick question,
Go
what your
back,
stance is on the solar and data centers?
Burn them down.
I'm going to remain anonymous, but I want to say the tabulator issue. I'm sick and tired of these tabulators. We got a county clerk that doesn't. He actually told at our meeting in Somerset that he has the algorithm. We do not need the state. So they have won every case in our county, everything. So what can you do to possibly challenge this? I'm going to go in and vote, but not with a tabulator. I'm going to refuse to put my tab into that. So that's what you can do.
Yeah, I do not trust the machines. I told people on the last run that Antrim County in 2020 was God's gift to the nation. A county that's completely red voting for Biden. That doesn't happen in real life. And when they went back in, they brought some guy from Texas. He looked at the machines, and sure enough, they had been tweaked. They had been looked at 30 days earlier, and that's when they probably were tweaked. But all this gets shoved under the carpet, and it's like, oh, that's old stuff. We don't care about that anymore. We've moved on. Friends, we can't move on from that.
Amen.
This is how they control elections. I was on a Zoom call with about 12. It almost sounds disciple-ish. 10. Let's go 10. There were 10 people who were all names that you would know. All names that you would know. One guy in particular who was leading the discussion said, I'm in charge of helping monarchies and dictatorships go to democracy or constitutional stuff. And he's been doing that for like 30 years. And he said the machines that we use, we could manipulate to get the person in that we want. And those are the same machines that we're using here in Michigan and in America. So, sir, I would fight against that. I mean, when I was growing up, when you guys were growing up, we never had tabulators. We had a higher population when I was growing up. We knew that night who was elected. This is ridiculous. It's insane, and you need somebody who's going to be willing to stand up, and I would have been your guy. Another question from somebody. Two over here.
Okay. And we're going to have to move on here. We have one more important speaker. Just so everyone knows.
Yes, she is important. Kind of to add on to that, because our one of our local township clerks has been drugged through court for years here. And I'm pretty sure you're all aware of it, Stephanie. There is a bill in Lansing, HB 5717 or something, being pushed by our state rep, to basically strip the power away from the county clerk in the entire state of Michigan. Or, sorry, not county clerk, township clerk. In the entire state of Michigan, every township clerk will basically be opened up to attack and ran out because they're just making it so anybody who would be qualified and take their class would be able to be paid and actually bill the township and
Their salary to run.
they could just pick anybody they want, and they don't have to have a township clerk, which is constitutionally mandated, I assume.
Yeah, that's obviously a major mess. I'm hugely, you talked about data centers and solar. Friends, I am a strong proponent, and I can't say it strongly enough, strong proponent of local control. I do not want Lansing telling me what to do. I don't want them telling you what to do. And so that's why in my first 90 days, the whole goal was to get 2,000 administrative bureaucrats who are making my life miserable right now to retire by buyouts. We get rid of them, they never come back. And the reason for all of that is simply this. Lansing is too big. That's why you have two people that have to work in the family. My goal was to have families be able to live on one income. Husband and wife, one income, to lower the budget so much that we can do that. And it's possible. It's really possible. So, yeah, this whole issue is just outrageous. The local thing, I'm familiar with that. And you guys just have to keep fighting. Remember, George Washington, out of all the battles that were in the Civil War, he didn't fight one of them. Out of all the battles in the Revolutionary War, George was only part of maybe, 11 to 15 of them. But they were everywhere. And they didn't call George and say, George, we need your help. It was the local people, the local pastors, the local Christians who said, I love my neighbor as much as I love myself. I'm going to fight for them, even if it means my life, my fortune, my sacred honor. I will close with this. As Carol and I were driving here today, just totally discouraged, to be honest with you, from the Court of Appeals just blowing us off. I said, Carol, there's a reason why we are coming to Hillsdale County. You guys with Stephanie Lambert won. And that's a reminder to me that you can win. And so I'm looking to fight against Lansing, the Bureau of Elections, the Board of Canvassers, and win. One last thing. As conservatives, folks, when we win, we quit. When we lose, we quit. We have to quit quitting.
Amen.
Winners always find a way. And we're going to win. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. Best of luck to you. Well wishes. I'm going to call up Steve. Did everyone get their green ticket for the drawing? We're going to do that last thing tonight. If you don't have a green ticket, please let Doug know. He'll make sure that you get a ticket. All right, Steve.
Everybody got one?
We're not doing that now. First thing is I'd like to thank everybody for hanging in, staying. We've had great speakers tonight. Seems like we get better every month doing this. Ralph, I'd like to thank you, and not that I would need to tell you, there's a lot of things I'd like to comment on, but I'll give you this one thought. God doesn't always give us a destination, sometimes it's the journey. This next person that I want to bring up is in a very similar situation. Genevieve Peters-Scott is running for Senate. I know there's a lot of us who, her opponents, maybe not our number one fan. I've heard Genevieve speak before, and I said, you know what? We in Hillsdale deserve to hear your candidacy. And unfortunately, much like what's going on in the governor's race, she's also facing the same thing. So without further ado, I am very honored to introduce, hopefully she stays on the ballot for Senate, Genevieve Peters-Scott.
Thank you so much, Steve. My name is Genevieve Peters-Scott, and I am running for the United States Senate. Now, yes, I am. So let me kind of go back a little bit. When I first announced, that was back in September, and didn't really find out about the petition thing probably for maybe another month or two. I remember people would talk to me about it, but I didn't really know what it meant. Because that's how candidates do, right? We decide we're gonna run because it's something that's propelling us forward to actually make a difference. So when I found out about the petition thing and I found out it was 15,000, I said, okay, let's do this. You know what? I was literally one of the major leaders in Macomb County in 2020 with all teams of volunteers that we took back Macomb from being blue to being red for the first time in 30 years. Okay? I was part of that team. I was part of the infrastructure. 15,000, let's do this. Why, you know, what's the problem? Well, then you get out into the field. And then you realize a lot of things are a little different when you're getting signatures. One, as a grassroots person, they don't know who you are. So you have to build, right? That's reasonable, right? I have to build voter contact. I've got to meet and greet people. I've got to show up to different things. I've got to let people know who I am. And so I did that. 230 different events. 230 different events. And many of them were my entire weekend at gun shows, sporting events, Tiger game openings, waiting outside, parades, Irish parades. You'd think it'd be a great opportunity. People were a little bit happy. However, the reality of that is that many people had already signed so many other petitions, because at that point in our Michigan, there was probably about 9 different proposals to get on the ballot. So you had signature fatigue. People just didn't want to sign. They just didn't want to sign. They'd signed already. They didn't want to sign. All of these different things. Not to mention, another part of the law is that you can only sign 1 petition per race. A lot of people don't know that. Now, raise your hand if you know about the law that says you have 180 days in order to get your petitions signed. Okay? How many think you don't need 180 days? In fact, you have 6 years from the time you, the last election. How many think that's the law? Okay. Well, here's another little thing that you find out as a candidate. So it's assumed it's 180 days. That's what it's assumed, because in their manual, it gives 3 different topics. It gives major party candidates, minor party candidates, and independent candidates. And the very last paragraph says all nominating petitions have 180 days in order to get your signatures. So we operated on that several of the months prior to 180 days, because we needed the full time up to April 20th to get our signatures. We had to keep throwing out signatures that were expired. Well, now we get close to about 6 weeks before the deadline of April 21st. And we realized, you know what? Everything we did, in addition to going up to the Upper Peninsula in February, going to every single county, getting signatures from all 83 counties. In addition, you also, as a candidate for state office, you need to have at least 100 signatures in 7 counties. I got over 100 signatures in every county of the congressional districts. So we have 13 congressional districts. You need 100 in at least 7 of those congressional districts. I got over 100 in all 13. So when I got to the 6-week mark before, started realizing, I don't know if I'm going to make it. We are doing everything we can, everywhere we go. And did I mention that I had 230 volunteers with petitions in their hand? 230. So 6 weeks out, I realized I had no choice. I had to go to a paid petitioner. I had to go to an industry that I really didn't know anything about. Except one time, when I first announced, I had a petitioner company approach me. And they said, we can get all 15,000 of your petitions. I said, wow, that sounds fabulous. It's $10 per signature, and it would come out to 150,000. Now, when I tell you that that's actually a good deal, would you be surprised? Because he also told me that my opponent was paying $12 per signature. So, obviously in September I thought, no problem. I know how to gather volunteers, I know how to get, people going. That is who I am, okay? 6 weeks out, there was no way we were gonna make the 15,000. Contacted a company that was literally sitting next to us at a gun show, so I knew that they were out collecting petitions. I knew that they were doing what they said they were going to do, and I hired them. And we contracted them initially for 15,000, even though we had almost gotten 10,000. I knew the invalidation rate was so severe that 15,000 isn't the minimum, it's 20 to 25,000 because of invalidation rates. So, originally, they said, no, we can't do 15,000 6 weeks out. I said, okay, can you do 10? Yep, we can commit to 10. The third batch started receiving fraudulent signatures. The owner called me and said, we have 2 petitioners that are starting to submit fraudulent signatures. I said, okay, what does that mean? Well, that means we're gonna have to hire some more people. Okay, so are we gonna make it? Because this is really kind of getting to the wire here, and 6 weeks, I was told, would be enough time, because petition gathering companies, okay, they're unregulated. You can't call up a petition gathering company, just so you know. I'm sure you probably have had that experience. It's all word of mouth. It's all who you know. You can't vet them to see if they've actually turned in valid signatures. So it's all on the candidate. You also can't find out, there's no pricing, right? So they can charge you 10, they can charge you 15, they can charge you 7 if they want, right? There's no regulation of this industry. So you have to get in. So then I tried a second company. So she said, you know what, we're gonna have to terminate the contract because we're not gonna be able to reach 10,000. Okay, so we contacted a second company. The second company, we're all ready to start going. Think they can do it, they can get the amount of signatures. They call us 3 days later and they tell us that another candidate offered them more money per signature. Now, you have to realize we're getting towards the end, so it's a supply and demand. You also have to realize with the petitions, because again, petitions that are on the ballot, the proposals that are on the ballot, they need 345,000 signatures. That's what ballot signatures need for proposals, okay? For candidates, it's different. So, as I'm getting near here, the end, I'm thinking, well, this is really interesting. Because now this is the second time I've actually tried to actually get into the paid petition industry realm, and I can't even get access to the ballot that way. So, I have tremendous amount of voter support. I've gone to so many counties and meetings and events and you name it. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. And so what I started realizing is that in order to get ballot access, now this isn't even to win a campaign, this is just to get on the ballot, to allow each one of you to have a choice in the primary. So I started doing some digging, and I started seeing, well, how many people are actually filing with the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, and how many people are actually getting on the ballot? Well, since 1999, there have been 9 elections, so we multiply that by the Republican and the Democrat, so that's 18, right? 18 basically races, right? one for the Democrat, one for the Republican during each primary. 18 races, and do you know that 14 of those races, you had 0 competition in the primary. Nobody made the ballot except the person that was institutional supported and financially backed. That's not okay. That's not okay. Do you know that the U.S. Constitution, and I'm sure I can show you with this video, the U.S. Constitution tells me if I want to run for the United States Senate, all I have to be is 30 years old. I made it just barely. I have to live in this country 9 years, and I have to live in the state in which I run. That's it. You know why? Because our founding fathers knew that everyday people needed a chance to make it on the ballot so they could represent everyday people. So you're not going to tell me that I have a state that I love that doesn't give me access when I have done everything they said I needed to do to have voter support, to go across the state, to talk to folks, to get signatures. But because their threshold is at a level that grassroots folks can't get through volunteer efforts, I have to pay potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, because if I have to get 20,000, that's 200,000. And that's if I pay just the minimum, which is the $10 per. That becomes a system, a structure, that is not built on voter support. It is built on institutional support and financial backing. I can't live with that. Can you? So I decided I'm going to take it to federal court. And I am going to sue on the constitutional basis of my freedom of speech that you do not allow me the association to be on a ballot that I can speak my grassroots values, as well as the 14th Amendment, where my voters no longer have a choice because it's now structured in a way that only allows institutional or financial support. So, I took it to the federal district court. They said, well, we're going to deny it because you know what? You had 6 years to get 15,000 signatures. I said, oh, wait a minute. It's 180 days. Oh, no. That little paragraph at the end of all of those was just meant for the independents. Now, I don't know about you, but it's common knowledge. People think they only have 180 days. And it's because they have confused candidates. So I said, okay, you're going to deny that. I'm going to go to the Court of Appeals. And I'm going to sue you there. So I took my case to the Court of Appeals. And I took out the 180 days. And they said, oh, you know what? That 15,000 threshold, that's minimum. That's not a problem. I did some more research and I realized that, Ohio, very similar geographically, right? 1,000 signature threshold. Then I looked into Pennsylvania, pretty similar demographically, as well as Population, 2,000. We are the highest signature threshold fixed in the entire nation. Do you know that 46 states have a 5,000 or less signature threshold? 46 states. And you know what's even more ironic? California is one of them. So, I said, oh, yeah, we're going to deny that. It's less than 1% of the population. I mean, you can't even get 15,000. That's the claim. That's exactly the claim. You just gave me my claim. If a grassroots candidate that is diligent and doing everything you say that this law is supposed to support and still can't make the ballot, it's going to the United States Supreme Court. 1 hour before I got here, we filed in the United States Supreme Court. And I am asking for all of your prayers. Brett, here's the irony. Brett Kavanaugh is someone that I supported. When he went through all of that, we had protests and we stood out literally supporting him. And you know how bad I wanted to send a picture of me with a Kavanaugh for U.S. Supreme Court. Put it on the top there. Hey, I supported you.
Yeah.
So, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., he will receive our FedEx package. And at 8 a.m., because the filing date is tomorrow, June 5th, it is the deadline, he will decide whether this law is unconstitutional. Now, we know in practice, if anyone could have gotten on the ballot, it should be someone that does the volunteer route. It should. That shouldn't be the end. You either have to give up your candidacy or you have to go into a paid petitioners. And I know you guys had paid petitioners. We did them together. It cannot happen. I know of one case that actually happened that was a grassroots candidate. And that was extraordinary. And that was Dr. Sherry O'Donnell. Here's the thing, and we've talked many times. Ballot access should not be extraordinary. Ballot access should be people that love this country, that love this state, that have fought for 4 decades like I have, that have worked for 2 elected officials, that have fought night and day to make sure our constitutional rights are not violated. Those are the people that should get the ballot. Like Ralph. Like myself. And we will continue fighting. And I'm so happy that I'm in this fight with you, Carol, and with Ralph. Because I too have the Lord Jesus Christ as my guide and my Savior. I will ask for your prayers. And just like one gentleman said, and I think it was the gentleman up here, such a time as this, and maybe this is the reason. Maybe I was meant to be fighting in this fight. Because I am born and raised in Detroit, and I have grit, and I don't quit. I'm going to open it up for questions. I want to thank you so much. I drove 2.5 hours to be here because I love Hillsdale. And I want every school to be a Hillsdale elementary school and high school and college.
Litchfield's better.
And college. What's that?
I said Litchfield's better. I'm just joking.
How do we find out Kavanaugh's?
It is. It's a country school, that's why. They stick to their
How
roots.
do we find out Kavanaugh's decision?
Thank you. Follow me on Facebook, Genevieve Peter Scott.
And if we're not on Facebook?
Yeah, follow me on Facebook, Genevieve Peter Scott. So I will be sending, are you a delegate? No, okay. So I will be sending all of the delegate chairs and, committee chairs. So just give me your email address and I will be sending it out to everyone throughout the state just so they know what the process is. We have to do away with this law. There's absolutely no reason for it. And just like Ralph spoke about the intricacies, I mean, do you know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars it costs? The labor intensiveness, it costs 345,000 signatures for one ballot initiative. And what they have to do, it's insane.
It's almost like they don't want the people to have control.
Right.
I know, that's crazy talk.
If there's no oversight on these balloting canvassers, how do you know they're just not paid to go out and make your life miserable?
What I hear there is the distrust that we have created because of what we've seen. So that's the unfortunate thing, is there's such a tremendous amount of distrust. And I always say governments, we all say government is local. We have to really, really start at a local level so that we have people, we create the laws. This is what I get to. People go, oh, there's a law that we don't like. Well, you know what? Do something about it, because we create the laws. We elect the people that create the laws. So those, the canvassers, right? The Michigan Board of Canvassers. There's Democrats, there's Republicans. Some people are saying, yeah, well, some are more Republicans. There's more Republicans. They're saying they're Democrats. I don't know, this is something a little bit crazy, but how can you, in a state that doesn't require you to actually commit to a party? Exactly. But then, when in the law, in election law, it says that you have to have 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, or 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. And it always has to be 2 different parties. It has to be, 3 in an election precinct. But you don't have to, it's just crazy. So there's a lot of things that we have to change. So that's a problem.
I think I misspoke. It's the people that you have to go around and ask them to get the votes for you.
The signatures?
Yeah.
Can I answer that just because I know this from experience?
Well, I wasn't sure.
That's what I heard.
Repeat the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when you hire these people to go and collect these signatures,
Oh, got it.
and like the one person said that, these people were bringing in invalid signatures, how do you know that they're not being paid to do just that?
Correct, yes.
Well, yeah,
And
so-
they do that to the newbies that come to. And I could even name a source, but I won't do that right now.
That is a fact that they do that. There are, the deep state, and I'm not gonna name names right now because we have a lot ahead of us, but there are people who will pay the bad people to do that. Sometimes those bad people don't know they end up in jail, like they did last time.
Yep.
But they will use the people, the circulators, to do that. And they will use newbie candidates that don't know the process, and they're like, oh, good, this person's gonna help me. And they're gonna only do it for $8 or $5.
Right, yep.
So yeah, it is done.
Yep,
And they get paid by both sides.
Yes,
yes.
They get paid by
yes.
you, and then
Yep.
they get paid by the people who want bad signatures.
Yeah, and I will say that the first time around, just so you can add Ralph's name to your list, the first time in 2022, it was all volunteer. There was one woman who was very needy that we did give a little money to, but we got them all volunteer the
Yeah,
first time.
so, right, so that's the thing. I mean, it's extraordinary to do that, and I'm sure you didn't do anything for those months, getting them. You can't.
There's also, you've been at the fair and you've seen people with petitions and getting paid. How many crackheads were there?
Right. Well, that's the thing, is it's not a regulated industry. People, they literally hire them, on a whim. And the legislature has actually tried, so here's the other thing, so this actually kind of speaks to your situation. Here's what happened. In 2022, as you know, we had 8 candidates get kicked off the ballot, right, for fraudulent signatures, because there was a company that actually was going around and hiring people that were just signing, and they were going around in a circle and signing. They made over 700,000, this is all in public record, over 700,000 off these campaigns. That's how much money is there in this industry for this crazy petition gathering service. And maybe think about maybe another second job. Collecting signatures, I mean, it's so freaking lucrative, it's ridiculous. And anyway, in 2022, when they caught these people, and they literally this year actually convicted them, the Board of Canvassers decided to tighten down on the validation. So here's that self-reinforcing circle. So you can't reach it by volunteer ways, so you have to go to a petition gatherer. The more petition gatherers you go to, the more fraudulent, potential fraud there is. So the more that they actually hand in that are fraudulent because of all these people that are hiring petition gatherers. And now, because there's so many fraudulent signatures, the Board of Canvassers are getting stricter and saying now those signatures have to match the QVF, which is the qualified voter file, and as we all know, signatures change. There's no way it's going to match. And the Irish parade, I can't imagine any one of those signatures, after they were a little happy after a while, would match, but we got a lot of them, right? So this is the crazy thing about this law. So it is a reinforced, self-reinforcing, to where you literally have a barrier or an exclusion. So what you're experiencing, Carol and Ralph, is that they are being stricter. And the process is they take 750, they take them and they see how many are valid in that sample size, and then they extrapolate it for the rest of it. That's how they do it. And here's the thing, even with that. So let's say I hire you, you're a petition gatherer, and you're going to collect 3,000 petitions for me. I'm going to hire you, and you're going to do 5,000 petitions for me. Yours are all solid. You unfortunately got some bad people working for you. And so you see how that doesn't even make sense to extrapolate? Because of the way this structure is. That's in real life. And here's the good news. Supreme Court has many cases about ballot access. And one of them is Anderson verdict. You can look it up. But it's about how does the ballot access law, how does it operate in real time? And that's why we have a chance in the U.S. Supreme Court. How does it happen in real time? Not in this statutory 6 years that no one does. I think I'm going to run for office in 6 years from now, so I'm going to start collecting ballots, collecting signatures. People move, they die, they get married, they change their name. I mean, now I've got to go chase around, the 6 years I've been collecting. I mean, come on. This is the crazy that we're dealing with this law.
Any last question? I know Genevieve has a long drive back home, and Ralph too. So thank you so much. Thank you for fighting a good fight. Again, we know it's not easy. We mentioned Stephanie. You have to stand up and you have to do what's right. And without doing that, we just get run over. So thank you for doing that. All right, thank you everyone for staying. We have our drawing. So let's get our tickets out.
Come on, Vanna. Oh no, that was attorney letters.
Hopefully everyone has one. All right, first winner.
Um, 336146. 336146.
Bingo! Oh, all right. Winner, chicken dinner.
Says straight up and down. Back.
I'll draw you down. I believe you. I can't read it anyway.
336128.
All right. Winner.
We have a winner. Three, 3, 6, 1, 2, 5.
All right, all right.
Left side, right side's cleaning up over here. 3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 1.
National politics, we'd like to hear that.
3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 1.
Going once, going twice. All right,
Go.
on. Next winner.
3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 2.
Oh, dang it. That's me, and I brought outdoor prices, so draw again.
Teresa
But you're
declared
still a
herself ineligible.
You're still a winner.
3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 9. 1, 3, 9.
1 through 9. Nothing.
We can't give stuff away. 1, 4, 5. 3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 5.
Bingo! That was my wife.
All right.
It sounded like you're saying bingo too.
It's not her?
Copycat.
Oh, was her? Okay, sorry.
Yes, that's my wife.
3, 3, 6. I thought she shook her head no. 3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 8.
1, 4, 8.
1, 4, 8.
All right.
Might run out of tickets before we run out of the prize. 3, 3, 6, 1, 2, 6. 1, 2, 6. There we go.
1, 2, 6. We got a few more. Okay. A few more items.
1, 2, 7. 1, 2, 6, and then 1, 2, 7. Yep. She is full twice. No,
2, 7.
1, 2.
Good try though.
3, 3, 6, 1, 2, 9.
1, 2, 9.
1, 2, 9.
Louis.
All right. 3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 5.
1 through 5. All right. Yeah, I think
3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 6. Oh, we just missed it, buddy. 1, 3, 6. Oh, there we go. I don't know.
we have these two, right?
So 2 more. 3, 3, 6, 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 1.
1, 3, 1. Anyone?
1, 3, 1. Going once.
Sold.
All right.
We got one more.
3, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3.
Giant firecracker.
1, 4, 3.
Did we get the right tickets?
This is quite 1, 3, 7, buddy.
Oh, there you go.
You got it. All
Save the
right.
best for last. All right. Thank you everyone for attending. I think it was a great session tonight. So remember, second Thursday next month. Have a wonderful 4th of July. And Doug has something.
Yeah, we're actually trying to work a debate between the candidates that were here. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about that, and we will let you know if you follow the feed. We're trying to bring the candidates back, and we're actually trying to maybe get the other candidates who are running in the city. So, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks everyone. See you next month.